Attention please, I'm Team Leader Carl Burt from the Department of Homeland Security. Due to an exposure to the measles virus on this aircraft, we'll be performing some routine screenings and if need be, take containment measures. Please remain seated while we move to a secure holding terminal.
So in this episode, Daisy and her daughter Joanna, who work with the Secretary of State, have just returned from a cruise vacation, and they're actually detained by the Department of Homeland Security as they are coming back into the country because there has actually been a measles outbreak on the cruise ship. Now, luckily, Joanna has been vaccinated. She's received her first vaccine, but she actually still gets sick. There's another girl who was on the boat with them who actually did not get a measles vaccine, and she gets a lot sicker. In fact, gets meningoencephalitis, which is a very severe disorder, which will probably leave her with permanent brain damage. So, in terms of the medical accuracy of the show, Joanna had been immunized. She had received her first immunization, which makes her 93% protected. So it was kind of it's unusual for someone who's had a vaccine to actually get measles, but, in fairness to the show, she did get a milder form of measles, which is probably more accurate than the girl that had not been immunized. Now, importantly, measles is a very contagious disorder. It spreads, actually one person typically by coughing or other aerosolization will actually spread it to about 20 individuals. So it's very important, and they bring this up in the show about the herd immunity. That is, we have to have most people immunized for it not to spread. And that's the only way to do it. And they also accurately do explain the reason why we're having these measles outbreaks right now in the United States, because measles was eradicated in 2000 in the United States. However, there have been more and more people who are not vaccinating their children, so the population of the unvaccinated individuals has actually gone up.
Which is a virus that's only spreading because of kids who weren't vaccinated because of this other lie that the MMR causes autism. You see what our problem is here?
And so there are these pockets of unvaccinated individuals throughout the United States, and then coupled with people who are traveling more, especially traveling to places and mixing with people from countries where actually vaccination is not required. So the idea that, someone actually gets it from someone and then brings it back and then it spreads throughout these unvaccinated areas is actually medically accurate. Now, it's a very serious condition, and I like the show brought this up. It's not just about a cough and a rash. No, measles, 1 in 4 individuals are hospitalized. 1 in 1,000 actually get the meningoencephalitis causing permanent brain damage, and 1 in 1,000 actually can die. So this is a very, very serious condition.
We're the State Department.
We are?
We control passports. And if you want one or you want to renew one, you're going to have to show proof of vaccination.
In terms of their approach to the problem, I really liked the solution they came up with in terms of getting more people vaccinated. And the solution they had was actually when people apply for a passport, they have to have a check on their vaccination and actually have a proper medical consultation, etc., if they do not wish to get the vaccination. Because, if you look at the problem, it is mainly from people traveling abroad and then bringing it back. So I like the idea of actually targeting those individuals by coupling the vaccination to getting a passport for travel. So overall, I think medical accuracy, I think the show did a really good job of portraying the measles virus as a very serious virus. It spreads rapidly, so it can spread through a whole ship, and they needed to quarantine people. The girl who had been vaccinated, in the real world, most of people who have been vaccinated would not actually get the measles. So that was a little bit, but in fairness, as I mentioned, she did have a milder form of the disease and recovered. So I think that the last part was the misinformation. They did clearly state there was a lot of misinformation online and in the social media that is not based on science. And they clearly state, the science does not show any association between measles or any vaccination for that matter, and autism. So they do recommend the MMR. And as physicians, typically we give the first dose at age 1 and then the second dose at age 4. After the first dose, 93% protection rate, and they did quote that in the show, that there was a 7% chance that someone who has received the first vaccine would get it. And then after the second vaccine dose at 4, typically 97% protected. And for adults out there who are watching, if you have not been vaccinated as a child, for whatever reason, it's not too late to get vaccinated. So overall, I give the Madam Secretary on their measles episode 2 thumbs up.